Shabbat Shalom and welcome to Bnei Yeshua Synagogue, home of the Miami Beach Israel Revival. It's wonderful to have you with us today in today's very important service. We're going to start today's service with worship and dancing and singing unto Yahweh Elohim and Yeshua our King. Afterwards, we're going to go right into the word of Yahweh, honoring the Father Yahweh in his true name and his Son Yeshua our King. Get ready to experience a move of the Ruach HaKodesh right here in Miami Beach, in the Miami Beach Israel Revival. And again, I want to say thank you from the bottom of our hearts to all our YATA Video Club members for subscribing to this teaching series. We pray and we hope that it'll bless you, edify you, and raise you up in the things of Yahweh as Yahweh's word is sent forth from Miami Beach to the four corners of the globe. Shalom in Yahshua's name. Now let's go right into this afternoon service. More bass, please. More bass. That I have entitled Proper Steps. Proper Steps. Turn with me, please, to Revelation. Oh boy. The book of Revelation, chapter 19. Proper steps. The book of Revelation, chapter 19. How many have come to hear the word of Yahweh today?
Amen.
Baruch
Hashem Yahweh.
You sound somewhat excited. Revelation 19 and verse number 7. Revelation 19 and 7. Let us be glad and rejoice and give him praise, for the marriage of the Lamb has come,
Hallelujah.
and his wife has prepared herself. Again, this message, preparation steps. How does that sound out? How does it sound out there? The speakers. Does the speakers sound good? Out there? Yes? Okay. I'm still getting some effects over here. I'm not getting a direct hit. Okay. Verse 9. I'm sorry, verse 8. Revelation 19:8. And to her it was given to be dressed in fine linen, clean and bright, for the fine linen is the righteousness of the set apart ones. He said to me, write, blessed are those who have been called to the marriage supper of the Lamb. He said to me, these are the true words of Elohim. Amen? But I want you to notice in verse 7, it is up to the bride of Yeshua. How many know that we are the bride of Yeshua? How many believe that we are the bride of Yeshua? As renewed covenant Israel, it is up to us to prepare. You can bring it down a little bit. There you go. To prepare ourselves. That's why this message, preparation steps. You see, Yeshua tells us that we are to prepare ourselves for his coming. Amen? And one way that we can do that is by studying the ancient Hebraic wedding. By learning and looking at and understanding the ancient Hebraic wedding, we can learn how to prepare ourselves for the coming of Yeshua. Now remember the parable of the 10 virgins in Matthew 25? Yahshua speaks of 5 virgins who are going to be ready and 5 virgins who are not going to be ready. And Yahshua warned us to stay alert, stay ready, stay prepared, because we don't know the day or the hour on which and in which our master will come. Amen? We may even try moving the monitor closer to me. Okay? Roberto, please work with him. Move that monitor over here. Sorry guys, just bear with me. I'm very particular and it doesn't sound good, it's not going to be good. Amen? So we need to study the ancient Hebraic wedding to understand how to prepare ourselves as the bride for Yahshua's coming. If we don't know how to prepare ourselves, we are not going to be ready. Doesn't that make sense? And the way we learn how to prepare ourselves is to study the ancient biblical Hebraic wedding. How many are ready to study the ancient biblical Hebraic wedding? See, today it's all screwed up in plain vernacular. Okay? It's all screwed up. The man chooses the woman chooses the man, they go off and get married and live unhappily ever after. It's a joke. It's a picture of nothing. It means nothing. It points to nothing. And that's why we have a 70% divorce rate in the church and only a 50% divorce rate in the world. And divorce is so prevalent in our society that the best marital counseling that one can give is don't. When I have couples come to me and they say want to get married, I say, excuse me, but I don't mean to be personal, but are you on drugs? Because there's a higher chance of a believer getting a divorce than there is an unbeliever getting a divorce. Because the religious systems of this world do not prepare couples to be properly prepared. Why? Because they're not doing it Yahweh's way. That's good, Anel, thank you. We got it. They're not doing it Yahweh's way. And when you don't do things Yahweh's way, you go your own way. And when you go your own way, you go in Meshuggah, outer space, all kind of wayward ways. What does it mean to be wayward? It means you're not walking Yahweh's way. You're walking waywardly before Yahweh. Amen? So this afternoon's marriage is what? This afternoon's marriage. This afternoon's message is preparation steps. Thank you, because Carrie's going to ask me anyway what it is. So, in case I forget. Preparation steps. I'll look at verse 7. Let us be glad and rejoice and give him praise, for the marriage of the Lamb has come, and his wife prepared herself. How do we prepare ourselves for Yeshua's coming? The only way we don't have to prepare ourselves is if Yeshua is not coming. How many believe Yeshua is not coming? How many in this room believe Yeshua is not coming? Tov, I trained you well. Tov. You're good students. Very good students. So if Yeshua is coming, it is up to the wife to prepare herself for her bridegroom. In order for us to properly be prepared and be the 5 what? Wise virgins and not the 5 foolish virgins, we've got to know the Hebraic wedding pattern so we can conduct our preparation steps according to pattern. Turn to your neighbor and say, according to pattern. Now, in the ancient Hebraic wedding, it was glorious to be the bride because the bride was fully prepared. Hallelujah. In modern weddings and modern dating and courtship, it is you like, no you like, good, book, make baby, go, and divorce. There's no preparation, there's no proper procedure, there's no proper steps outlined. And so we have all kind of unwanted children, and then they're labeled as unwanted children, but the truth is there's no such thing as illegitimate children, but there are illegitimate parents.
That's right.
And so we have illegitimate parents who it's wham bam, thank you ma'am, didn't prepare for anything, and now they're stuck with the fruit of their lust for the rest of their life. They can't go forward, they can't go sideways. They're stuck in quicksand, both spiritually, worldly, carnally, and spiritually. Why? Because they did not prepare themselves as a Hebrew bride prepares herself for her bridegroom. Now, let's be honest. How many of us have been to a nice, spirit-filled Yom Rishon service? In case you don't know what Yom Rishon is, it is Domingo. and have heard a clear, cogent presentation of how we are to fulfill Revelation 19:7 and be prepared as a bride is prepared for her bridegroom. I've never heard one.
Never.
Because they just tell you, well, come for counseling. What happens if the pastor doesn't know what he's doing? And what happens if he follows his own steps and doesn't follow the Hebraic steps or the biblical steps? What do we do then? Then we're looking at a 70% chance for divorce. I know everybody's quiet on me today because you're meditating on the heaviness of the word.
Right.
Now, but nevertheless, in our preparation, Revelation 19:8, we were given to be dressed in fine linen, bright, clean. For the fine linen is the righteousness, the tzaddik, tzedakah of the kadoshim. And he said, right, blessed are those who have been called. Notice, the way to be called is to be prepared. Many are called, few are chosen. What does that mean? Many are called to be the bride of Yeshua, few are chosen because they have not been prepared, and Yahweh will not invite them into the bridal chamber, the bridegroom's chamber, without the proper steps of preparation. Turn to your neighbor and say, steps of preparation. So in Hebraic understanding, there are 4 steps from the time he and her get together until the time of the Big Bang Theory. 4 steps. For those of you who didn't get that, see me later for counseling. Step one is what's known as Shidduchin. Shidduchin, or as we say in a Yiddish Germanic expression, which our people picked up when they were wandering Eastern Europe, is Shittach. I've had people come to me and say, Rabbi, can you make for me a Shittach? I said, watch your language. But in Yiddish, it's a Yiddish word for a prearranged marriage. Are you with? Turn to your neighbor and say prearranged.
Prearranged.
In order for the bride of Yahweh to prepare herself, she's going to have to conduct herself Yahweh's way in the steps of preparation to meet the bridegroom, lest she be labeled as one of the 5 foolish virgins and not one of the 5 wise virgins. See, and the Sunday system can't teach you this because they don't believe that the Hebraic wedding has anything to do with the return of Yeshua. And those who do teach the Hebraic wedding as a type of preparation for the return of Yeshua do it with a false twist, with the pre-tribulation rapture. And they try to use the Hebraic wedding to prove the rapture. That's like trying to trap a mouse instead of using cheese with a burger from Burger King. How many mice do you think you're going to catch if you use a burger instead of cheese? So the first part of how many parts are there to ancient Hebraic wedding? 4 parts. The first part is the Shidduchin, Shiddukin, or the arrangement between the parents. The arrangement begins early in individual's life. Matter of fact, the arrangement begins before there is an individual's life. Meaning, if we're doing this thing Yahweh's way, listen, then my mom and dad would get together with your mom and dad, and once we knew that we would have a female child, and my parents knew they would have a male child, or if they didn't know or they suspected, but whatever, they prepared in a prearranged. Isn't that funny? We prearrange our funerals. Prearranged funeral planning. Call 1-800-STAR of David. That's 1-800-STAR of David. We don't think it weird or culturally obnoxious or culturally unculture to prearrange our funerals. Matter of fact, they said, ooh, that's wise planning. Or prearrange your will, your last will and testament. That's wisdom, that's wise. But prearranged weddings, man, that sounds like some young moon cult. That sounds like mass marriage ceremonies at Madison Square Garden on Broadway and 34th Street. Mass marriages? You mean you don't get to choose your own bride? You mean you don't get to choose your own bridegroom? Wait a second, you mean before these guys poop in their diapers, they're already married? You laugh. Go ahead and laugh. But I think Yahweh, Father, knows best.
Amen.
So the first stage of the Hebraic wedding is the Shedukin, where the arrangements are done ahead of time. All the details are set up. Can we see this in Scripture? Sure we can. Go with me to Bereshit 15. Bereshit 15. Baruch Hashem Yahweh.
Hallelujah.
Bereshit 15. I'm talking about the preparations for what? What's the name of the message? Preparation steps. Oh, better you than me. Preparation steps. Bereshit 15. Abraham entered into the covenant, and he did not have a child from his own body, and Yahweh says, no, the one coming from your own body is your heir. So Yahweh entered into a covenant with Abraham before Abraham had Yitzchak and Yitzchak had Yaakov. When did Yahweh and Abraham enter into a covenant and enter into a contract, into a marriage covenant where Abraham's seed would be Yahshua's bride? How many believe Abraham, Yitzchak, and Yaakov's seed is Israel? And Israel would be Yahweh's bride. Would Israel not? And so here, this is prearranged marital planning. Yahweh says, in order for me to have a bride, I have to arrange it ahead of time. Someone's not hearing me today. Turn to your neighbor and say, are you one of those that are not listening? If they blink, that means yes. So, in order to have a bride called Israel, Yahweh had to enter prearranged planning, did he not? And so he started arranging the marriage to his bride in stage one before there was a Jewish people, before there was an Israelite people, before there was a Har Sinai, before there was a Ketuvah, before there was a Moshiach dying on Golgotha. Before any of these things, he entered into the Shedukin to prearrange the marriage of what would be his marriage between him and his bride. Is any of this making sense? Yes. Now, to this day, Yahweh remains faithful to his covenant. Look, he said, Yahweh said in Bereshit 15, he says, verse 4, the word of Yahweh came to him. Eliezer, the Gentile, is not your heir, but the one who comes from your loins. Your body is your heir. Hello? Abraham said to Yahweh, look, Yahweh, I know I don't have any biological children. I'm too old. I'm basically ready to go into a nursing home. Now, how am I going to start having children? Yahweh said, he said, and so Abraham said, well, Yahweh, I have a plan. The first plan is to bring a Gentile, so that eventually the Gentiles can reproduce and you can have a Gentile bride. Then when that didn't work, Abraham said, how about if I create an Ishmael, who will be the father of the Muslim people? We wouldn't have a Saddam Hussein in Iraq and the Middle East if it wasn't for Abraham trying to prearrange the wedding to Israel instead of letting Yahweh prearrange the wedding. First thing, Abraham, you think Abraham was a great man of faith. He was a man just like you and me, all full of warts and faults. That's how we know the Bible, the Word of Yahweh, is inspired by Yahweh. It doesn't present the patriarchs as super saints. It presents them with the same problems we have. Arthritis, bad back, all right? The hemorrhoids. Come on, they have the same problems we got. All right? Whatever, hemorrhoids, bad neck, bloating, gas. They were just like us. See, and the Bible doesn't try to portray these folks as super saints. Turn to your neighbor and say they're not super saints. So, in addition to being a liar, he lied about his wife, being his sister. First he says, okay, Yahweh, now if we're going to prearrange this marriage, let me help you. I'll be the caterer. How about Eliezer? Look at verse 2. Abraham said, look, Master Yahweh, now that we're in Shedukim, what's Shedukim? Prearranged planning of the wedding. Now that we're in Shedukim, he says, look, Yahweh, I'm childless, and you want a bride, and I can't give you a bride, and the only way I can give you a bride is if I start reproducing from my own loins. But I got a Gentile in my house, Eliezer of Damascus. Yahweh, can your bride be a Gentile? Yahweh, can your bride be a Gentile? Yahweh says, no, don't bring me a Gentile. My bride is not going to come from a Gentile. My bride is going to come from a man from your loins, Isaac, Yitzchak, from your loins. He will be the heir. Israel will be the heir, not a Gentile. The church is not the bride of Yeshua. That is an anti-Semitic teaching from the pit of hell. If the church is the bride of Yeshua, then the church must be part of Israel, because apart from Israel, Yahweh will not allow an Eliezer to be his bride. Amen. And when Abraham tried to prearrange the wedding to produce a bride from his that would be acceptable to Yahweh according to covenant, first he gave Yahweh what? As a caterer, choice number one, a Gentile. Yahweh said, no. Someone from your own body will be my bride and your offspring. Then later on, he tries who? He tries plan number 2, Ishmael, and we know what happened then. He wouldn't wait for Sarah's womb to be quickened and give birth to the people of Israel. First he gave birth to Ishmael, who gave birth to Esau, which is Genesis 35:1, which is Edom. And now we've got the Edom-Israeli conflict, and long live the two brothers, for they hate each other. It's not political, it's not geographical, it is spiritual. There are two nations that are warring at each other, and it is written of Edom, his hand shall be against every man, and every man's hand against him.
That's right.
Edom can never be at peace. Edom loves to fight. Edom loves to battle. Edom loves to wage war, and specifically to seek out and find and destroy his brother Yaakov. And so we see that the first stage of the wedding, of getting a bride for himself, for Yeshua, and Yahweh for Yeshua, is the Shedukin or Shetach. So as a rabbi, when I have someone come to me and say, can you make me a shittach? I say, sure. I've tried to make a shittach in this congregation. It didn't work out. Because what happened, we did it unbiblically, see? I went to the girl and I say, this is personal. He likes you. And then I went to the guy and say, now this is personal. Do you like her? And it turns out that they didn't like each other, or they didn't really care for each other, or they didn't have feelings for each other. But the point is, it was unbiblical, because the way to do it biblically according to Shittach is to go to the parents of the woman and to the parents of the bridegroom, and let the parents get together and let the parents make the arrangements and let the parents put the whole thing together. Are you with me? Was Abraham a parent? Was Abraham a parent? Yes, he was. And so the way the Shedukin, the preparation, the arrangements were made is between the parents of the children. Are you getting this? Now, what does it mean to have a prearranged marriage? It means that you have no choice in the matter. Now, that sounds like a Yahweh who's very, very what? Legalistic,